Hi, I am Jacob Wagner. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Cloners+Effectors, and I'm going to show you some of the things that you could do with it. In this first scene, we have a circular shape layer, which has been cloned into a linear pattern. We have then added an effector with a fall-off, and the way Cloners+Effectors works is that instead of animating every layer or every clone, you add an effector to it, and by animating the effector on top of the clones, you essentially are going to animate the clones. This will, of course, save you from a lot of keyframing time. In this case, we have a linear pattern, but it could also be a radial pattern. And since we have the same effector type, we are still going to get the same animation. We could also switch this to grid. And we will now have a grid that's animating in the same way. And all of these patterns, of course, have different settings, so we can adjust these patterns to be more of our liking. And we can also go in and, of course, edit the effector. Maybe we wanted to have a bit of an angle, in this case, in order to change our animation. So in this case, it's shape layers, but it can be many different kind of layers. In this scene, we have some text, and it's a completely different setup. We have a pulse effector with a radial fall-off. Right now, everything that's inside the radial fall-off here will be animated. So if we move the radial fall-off, we are going to control what is being animated. In this specific example, we don't even have 2 keyframes. We have 0 keyframes. So this is 100% procedural animation. We could also work with something from Illustrator. So in this file, we have an illustration that has been created in Illustrator and imported into After Effects. And instead of having to animate all the different parts of the illustration, we use a effector to animate them. And we have 2 keyframes to do all of that. In this last scene, I would like to show you how easy it is to set up a system like this. So the only thing we have is a black circle. The circle is not a shape layer. As we can see here, it's actually an Illustrator layer. So let's check this Illustrator layer out in Illustrator, see what it contains. It looks like a circle, but if we select it, we can see that it's a circle that has been split into a lot of different parts. I literally took the knife tool and just went crazy on it, and now it's in pieces. So we imported that into After Effects. When you buy the plugin, you also get this small shape splitter that I can easily use to split apart a Illustrator file or a shape layer. So I just click split it, and now I have it in a lot of different pieces. I click add cloner to create a new cloner. I'm just gonna hide the cloner icon. And the default kind of cloner is always the linear. In this case, we want to have a cluster cloner. And that is going to preserve the original settings from all the layers. So we will add a effector. We want it to be a plain effector with a linear fall-off. And we want the curve to be quadratic, but only on the outside. We want to animate the position and the scale. So we turn on position and scale for the effector. We then go into position and start animating these pieces up. So we're going to create an animation of this circle dissolving into small pieces. So Y position is going to be something like this, and then we're going to go into scale and put it down to -100 and -100 for X and Y. We probably want to rotate this effector a little bit So we're going to rotate it until we find something that we think looks cool. And maybe this looks cool. Maybe something like this. And that's everything we need to do. Now we have our cloner and effector set up, and we can start animating this effector. So let's do that. We just put it on top, put in a keyframe at the first at 0 seconds. Then we're gonna go into 3 seconds and drag this down. And that was everything. Now we have created an animation of a circle that is dissolving into small pieces. It's very easy to work with. It's very easy to set up, but it's also very easy to change your animation once they're done. If I need to change this animation, I don't need to handle a lot of keyframes for all of these parts. I can just go in and select my effector and say, okay, maybe this should go up a little bit more, or maybe this should go down a little bit more. Maybe this should even change color. So as they're dissolving, they will dissolve into a different color. That might be cool. So I'll turn on color for my effector. And the default color is white. So I'm gonna change that to something like a deep red. Something like this. And that's everything I need to do to change the animation. And there we have it. So you no longer need to mess around with hundreds of keyframes. I will be animating a lot of things in After Effects using cloners and effectors instead. And you should try it too. Go to ascripts.com/cloners+Effectors, and you can download a trial of this plugin, or you can buy it if you like it. Thank you very much for watching this. See you in the next video.